Well, first of all, I am all for using the Bible to comfort somebody who is in grief, but there are certain passages to use at certain times, and you have to read the person to see where they're at. I would begin by sharing from the book of Job and Job's struggle and the fact that, and sharing from the Psalms and David saying, "Why are the heavens silent, Lord? I'm struggling with this. I feel like you've forsaken me." And these are natural feelings and questions. The why? Scripture, people in Scripture ask the why question a lot. God is not threatened by hearing the why question. But he does want us to listen to his answers and to trust him when we don't either find those answers or those answers don't make sense to us. So I think you then move from those point of identity going through crisis portions of Scripture which really resonate with a person. Yes, that person in the Bible was struggling like I'm struggling. But then move from that when a person, and usually it's further down the line, when they're looking at you and they're saying, "I can't believe that a good God would do this thing or allow this thing in my life." Sometimes people word it differently. Well, then it may well be appropriate to move into, well, we don't understand how, but we do know that God promises to do good even through the hardest, most evil things that we experience, even through the things that involve the most suffering. And they may say, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And say, "Well, I don't totally understand it." But Romans 8:28 does say, it is a promise from God, that he is at work to bring all things together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. And we can't see that now, but somehow we're being promised that in retrospect, we will one day be able to see how he used that bad thing for good. And let's face it, let's look at the life of Christ. I mean, we celebrate what we call Good Friday. What are we calling Good Friday? The worst day in the history of the human race, where the most horrible thing that has ever been done, bar none, was done to Jesus Christ. And yet, in retrospect, we call it Good Friday because we recognize that out of that suffering came our redemption. And we will one day see that much redemption came out of the suffering that we entailed. But the person who's grieving usually isn't ready to hear that early on, but there will come a time where they do need to hear that. We just have to be sure that we're being sensitive as to when that time is.